experiencing life from a different angle.
The Boy Scouts of America today stands ready to deliver life-changing experiences people simply cannot get anywhere else. Experiences for everyone involved in the scouting program: youth, families, volunteers, donors, chartered organizations, and you. We gather here to generate the sparks that will light the way to delivering outstanding, world-class experiences for everyone in scouting.
Just a good place to be at.
Welcome to the Boy Scouts of America. Let's light a fire.
Our organization has a reputation of producing leaders and of being servant leaders out in our communities.
Whenever I think of scouts, the phrase primus inter pares comes to mind. It means first among equals. And I think that's what scouting really encompasses, the whole entire servant leadership aspect. That sure, we're all equals, but we need somebody to take us where we want to go.
Community service is your way to show appreciation and also to help those that are in need.
Leadership to me means serving others, putting others first. You have a goal, you have a dream, you have a vision, and you're very passionate about it. And your passion is not just yours, it's yours and your team.
What scouting's taught me and many others to do is to be a leader, to step up and know how to plan ahead and be prepared for anything that comes up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friends of Scouting Kickoff Dinner for 2016. My name is Cameron Buck, and I'm very glad you guys can make it tonight. I hope you enjoy your evening. To open tonight's dinner, I would like to bring in our color guard, consisting of scouts from across the council led by Troop 3. I'd like to call Bryce Cottle to lead us in the posting of the colors.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, halt. Color guard, post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Please join us in the Scout Oath. Please join us in the Scout Law. Friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, correct. Color guard dismissed.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the Board of Directors of Central North Carolina Council, Mr. Chip Ruth.
Please be seated. Let's give these young men a round of applause. They did a wonderful job. Let me add my welcome to all of you tonight for being here. I believe you have your salads on your table. Please go ahead and start eating as I talk. The Friends of Scouting campaign for the Central North Carolina Council is a large portion of our operating budgets, approximately 42% of our annual budget. So we count on our Friends of Scouting campaign so that we can run a quality scouting program in our 7th county service area. Our goal for our Friends of Scouting campaign this year is $904,500, and this dinner tonight serves as our official kickoff to the campaign. Your presence here and your support from the Central North Carolina Council are critical to our ability to deliver a quality scouting program to the local young people that we serve. As president of Central North Carolina Council, I'm very proud of what scouting does for youth in our communities. Scouts are not asked to merely repeat the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, but they are expected to live by these standards. No child becomes a scout to get his character developed, but to have fun. But by having fun along the way and our scouting program, they become positive, and it has a long-lasting impact on their character. Our country needs the Boy Scouts of America now more than ever to serve our nation's youth from the current culture of entitlement, materialism, gangs, drugs, inactivity, and obesity. Boy Scouts of America must maintain and expand its relevancy. We have always been what we are now, and we will continue to be a driving force, moving our country towards a bright future, a future that we look forward to with optimism, a future guided by the principal leaders of our outstanding character. We are challenging ourselves daily to deliver the best program that we can in the country. We work every day because the youth in our 7th county area deserve it. And our council has a proven track record of shaping young people into adults of outstanding character, adults who understand the meaning of values, hard work, accountability, and the importance of servant leadership. In the packet that was in your on the table when you got here, in your chair, there is a copy of our Central North Carolina Council annual report, and I just want to highlight a few of those. 6,486 young people participated in our council scouting program in 2015, and 1,112 adult volunteers dedicated their time and energy to make the program a success. Through the Council Scout Reach program, scouting has provided over 650 underserved youth who otherwise may not be able to afford to be in scouting. Many of these scouts come from single-parent households, low-income communities, and neighborhoods of high crime. 249 scout units meet at local community charter partners, whether those be businesses, community organizations, civic organizations, and churches. And these partners offer positive adult role models and a safe environment for youth to participate in scouting. 129 Eagle Scout Awards and 272 Webelos Air Light Awards were earned. 3,828 unique visitors participated in our program at our council camp, Camp Barnhart, located in New London in Stanley County, and Camp Cabarrus, located in Kannapolis, here in Cabarrus County. 2,039 Cub Scouts and 1,301 Boy Scouts participated in long-term camping programs. This included 718 Cub Scouts who participated in in-council day camps, Webelos rescue camps, and sneak-in weekends, and 1,018 Boy Scouts who participated in our summer camp programs at Camp Barnhart. 53,664 pounds of food were collected and distributed in local food banks in our council-wide Good Turn project. 37,872 community service hours, which is nearly 4.5 years of time, were contributed as a result of 129 Eagle Scout projects, the Central NC Council's Quarterly Arrow, and individual members reported community service. Tonight you'll learn much more about the impact that scouting has on the young people in our area. You'll meet young people who are a product of our program, and you will have a chance to make a gift to scouting, which will enable us to continue delivering the scouting program to growing numbers of young people in our council territory. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Central North Carolina Council, thank you for your support of the scouting program. You are critical to our ability to deliver the next generation of leaders to our community. And now I would like to call on Jacob Patterson of Troop 3 to deliver our invocation.
Please prepare yourself for prayer. Lord God and giver of all good gifts, we are grateful as we pause before this meal for all the blessings of life that you give to us daily. We are fed with good things, nourished by friendship and care, feasted with forgiveness and understanding. And so, mindful of your continuous care, we pause to be grateful for the blessings of this table. May your presence be the extra taste of this meal, which we eat in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm told that this is the largest seated event ever to be held in this facility. So it's a very special night. And I'm glad to be in the room with some very smart people. And I know you're smart because on this beautiful afternoon, you could have chose to be doing a lot of different things. But you chose to invest your time in building our future by investing in our youth. And for that, you have to be smart, and I want to thank you for your participation in taking action to make our community strong and America great. God bless you, and thank you for being here. I also want to take an opportunity to thank some of our other leaders in this campaign, Friends of Scouting, and those are our Eagles. These are people that make gifts of 5,000 or greater. There's two classes of Eagles. The first, I guess, would be our Silver Eagles from like 5,000 up to 10,000. And you can see from the screen here, I'm told that these names will be appearing about Eagle Club donors. And that's, so the Silver Eagles are the ones from 5 up to 10,000. And then the, give us a hand. And then the Golden Eagles, that's 10,000, and that's up to 25,000 above.
And let's recognize those people with applause. We also have many corporate sponsors, and I think on your programs on your table you can look and you can see the individuals and the organizations that have agreed to donate a minimum of $1,500. I'd like you to join me with giving those people a round of applause today. And of course, we could not do this either without our United Way partners, and so let's recognize United Way for their role in helping support scouting. The concept for this fundraising event started back in the fall. And I'd like to recognize the two groups of people that are really critical in getting this together this evening, along with our scouting staff. And that would be our steering committee members and our table hosts. I'd like to ask the steering committee members that are here, and hope they all are, and the table hosts to please stand at this time, and let's give them a round of applause. You're going to find a little gift in your table host bag tonight as a token of appreciation to Scouts for all the hard work that this group has done. You know, one of the things that we do in scouting is we talk about the effort that we put forward in teaching leadership skills. And, you know, when we do this, we at UI Bank, we talk a lot about making a difference, and we talk about building community. And one of the things that we've learned that in making a difference and in building communities, you have to start with the right kind of values. And you have to have a group of people that are focused on accomplishing a mission. And that's really how you build community. That's what we are here tonight. We are the community of scouting. And we're on a mission to make a difference and give our youth an opportunity to be their best. But the best way, I guess, to demonstrate that is just recognize one of those future leaders. And I'm going to recognize at this time Davis Dawson of Troop 38 to come at the podium and give us, share with us his experience and how scouting is helping him to grow as a leader. Davis?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Davis Dawson, and I'm currently an Eagle Scout at Troop 38 in Concord. I'm here tonight to share with you my personal scouting experience and how scouting allowed me to experience my dreams. My scouting narrative begins as a pipsqueak of a Cub Scout, a Cub Scout Pack 11 in Raleigh. Now, at that point, I didn't completely understand what scouting really was or the effect it would have on me as I grew older, but regardless, I had a blast, like any Cub Scout. But it wasn't until I bridged into Boy Scouts that I began to truly understand what scouting really was all about. As a young scout, I was intrigued by the stories told around campfires and on long trips home by my older seasoned scouts in my troop. Between all of them, it seemed like they had done it all. Backpacking trips, summer camps, trips to high adventure bases, Order of the Arrow, and exciting adventures in which they had engaged throughout their scouting careers. For me, this is where my scouting dreams began to take form. I wanted to experience all the adventures of my older counterparts. So fast forward to today, and in a few months, I'll turn 18, and my youth scouting career will unfortunately come to an end. But looking back, I realized that most of my scouting dreams have become a reality. I had the opportunity to enjoy fun and really hot summers at Camp Barnhart. Yeah. Obtained the rank of Brotherhood in the Order of the Arrow, attended countless camping and backpacking trips all over North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, and South Carolina. And even this past summer, I had the opportunity to attend Philmont Scout Ranch. There, 6 of my close scout friends and I and 3 adult leaders hiked over 103 miles in the northern New Mexico mountains. We also summited a mountain over 12,000 feet tall, and somehow managed not to get eaten by bears or mountain lions in the process. I also had the opportunity to give back through my Eagle Scout project, where I led the construction of a Habitat for Humanity house for a local family in need. It was always a dream of mine to make an Eagle Scout project, make it something that I could come back to in 20 years, see it still serving the community, and know it was because of my involvement in the scouting program that a single mother and her 4 children are now able to live in a new, safe, efficient, and affordable home where they can grow with a sturdy foundation in their future. While it was very rewarding to see that family move into the house out of a substandard home, this next story was the most rewarding to me. About 3 months after dedicating the house to the family, I received a phone call from the mother, saying her 2 oldest sons had asked her if they could join the Boy Scouts. She said that they had hoped to be Eagle Scouts one day. I mean, wow. Needless to say, still am completely moved by this unsolicited outcome of the project. After over a year in Scouts, her sons have had their first trip to the North Carolina mountains, where they camped and skied for the first time. They also attended 1 week of summer camp and are on the road to Eagle. It makes me realize that scouting not only helped me experience my dreams, but it also leads to a chain reaction resulting in other youth being able to experience theirs too. I've been very fortunate throughout my scouting career to have the support of fellow youth, adult leaders, and especially my parents. They've provided me the moral and financial support required to get me where I am today, both in scouting and in everyday life. Unfortunately, there are many scouts out there who don't have this amenity. Let's face it, between pricey camping gear, uniforms that we grow out of, it seems, every 2 months, camp fees, trip expenses, I mean, scouting is not an inexpensive affair. And I believe that no youth should be denied the opportunity to experience his dreams for any reason, especially for a financial reason. So tonight, I'm asking all of you to be a friend of scouting and make a contribution of your time, talents, and mostly your treasure that an untold number of young men to have the great scouting experience that I and many of you sitting in this room have enjoyed. Thank you for your support and for helping the young men of the Central North Carolina Council experience their dreams. Thank you.
Davis, thank you. I believe we have one future leader off to a good start. We appreciate hearing that story. We've got another story tonight. At this time, I'd like to introduce one of our speakers, Hubert Payne. Hubert was born in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. He played college football at Saginaw Valley State University, played as a true freshman at the running back position. After his second season, Hubert transferred to Middle Tennessee State University. And before that, he was finally found his home in pronounce it Maryville, not Maryville. Did I get that right? Okay, so he was all conference and a leader, as evidenced by the fact that his teammates chose him as their team captain. But the most important thing, I guess, I learned about, I was talking with, I had the opportunity to attend the CNA Awards, and this band, Little Big Town, won many awards. And then later, we know they won a Grammy. And this is the drummer of that band. And a musician who's also an Eagle Scout from this council, Tim Galloway, told me that this guy, Hubert Payne, you need to call for this scouting function because Hubert's got a message. I friended him on Facebook, or he friended me, and I see some of his posts, and I think that we're going to have a pleasant surprise and a gift tonight because Hubert is going to give us a living example of experiencing dreams hands-on, which is the theme for our Friends of Scouting fundraiser effort this year. But the most important thing about Hubert is he is married to Nicole. Get that right down here. Payne, and you're the father of 4. So you're a family man, living in Nashville, living the dream, and a successful musician with a great band, another drummer. So join me in welcoming Hubert Payne. Hubert.
How you guys doing? Let's give it up for the young man speaking in front of us. He helped calm my nerves. That was great. So, like I said, my name is Hubert Payne. I'm incredibly excited to be here and share my story. I'm excited about how God can move when testimony goes forth because I know what can happen. So, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I've been in Nashville for 10 years, working as a professional musician. I am currently touring with, like you said, Grammy Award-winning Little Big Town. Getting that gig has been a life-altering experience. I've been able to travel the world playing music with them, and I even was able to watch Mr. Olsen over here play backyard football with Cam at the NFC Championship game. They were just running to like the little place, go deep, Greg, just go touchdown. It was great. But technically, I'm the drummer in a band. I like to consider my marketable skill the ability to influence interpretation. And what I mean by that is, because I play like the loudest instrument on the stage, I have the most control over dynamics, like the hards and the softs and the loud, when to be quiet. So it enables me to, emote through my instrument, which affects the way my bandmates interpret their instruments or sing their notes. And I've kind of turned that into my marketable skill. Now, I feel like all of us here have found ways to navigate through life's landmines in a sense. So, not only have we navigated through those landmines, we've found ways to use the resistance that we face to catapult us into like whatever our destiny is. So using the resistance and overcoming it and using it to walk in complete destiny and be whoever God has called you to be. So tonight, I just want to share with you guys a part of my story, and hopefully you guys can get something from it. So, I'm sure part of the elephant in the room is, how does a kid from inner city Detroit end up playing for country music royalty, right? I feel like it starts here. It was January 10th, 2010. I was hanging out in a club, watching some of my friends play at a club called 12 and Porter. It's downtown Nashville. It was a great show. It gets to be around 12:30, and the show's over, and I'm just hanging out with my friends, and we're discussing actually birthday plans. So we came up with IHOP, and I was excited. I'm like, man, I'm gonna give me some pancakes. Let's go do this, And I noticed a guy comes in the back door of the club, and it's kind of suspicious, but he charges the stage and he grabs the microphone. Now this guy is holding a tall can of beer in one hand, and he's yelling in the mic with his other hand. And me and my friends are kind of, we're in shock, and we're thinking, obviously this guy is under some type of influence of something, so hopefully security will come and defuse the situation. A short time later, he got even more irate, and he whips out, I promise, it seemed like the biggest knife I'd ever seen in my life. I felt like he went to the pawn shop and just was like, give me the biggest knife you have, and he bought it, and he brought it to the club. So he pulls it out of his hands, he walks to the stage, and he begins to cut the can, and he began to spill the beer on the floor, and he made a barrier. So he cornered who pretended to be my friends. And, you know, I'm a football player, so I felt like at the time, I'm okay with confrontation, and I might need to protect my friends because obviously nobody's gonna save us in this situation. And it was almost like he read my thoughts. So before I knew it, we were face to face, nose to nose, and this guy puts the knife up to my head. So I immediately think back to when I was 9 years old. I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me, and we were big, huge Power Rangers fans. And one day, you know, the Red Ranger, he was facing some monster, and that monster had a weapon in his hand, and he put the weapon up to the Red Ranger's head, and he acted really calm. And then he lunged down, and he grabbed him here, and the monster dropped the weapon. So I said, John, if that ever happens to me, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. When somebody holds the gun to my head, So back in the situation, I thought in my head, all right, I'm gonna go Red Ranger. So I grabbed his arm and I put it in the air and I jumped on him and I noticed that he didn't drop the knife. So we began to tussle. So I threw 2 haymakers, the left and the right, as hard as I could. I missed both of them, complete air. So we're wrestling, and after a while I realized that I was bleeding, so I pushed away from him, and I managed to stumble out of the front of the club. I saw a police officer who just happened to be on a traffic stop, and he came, the guy chased me, he gets arrested. Next thing you know, I'm in the ER, and they're cutting my clothes off, and I was blood everywhere, and the doctor says, Mr. Payne, where else have you been stabbed? And I said, I don't know, I'm in shock right now, I can't really feel anything. So I take a CAT scan, and I'm sitting in a room when my dad gets there, and the doctor comes in and he says, Mr. Payne, you're lucky to be alive. You only have 2 stab wounds. The first one is in your upper left eye. It went pretty deep, it nicked your finger bone. We can sew that up, you'll recover. The problem is, he severed a tendon in your hand. And right now, you can't close your hand. And if you don't get emergency surgery, you won't ever be able to close your hand again. But what I can do is I can fix that tendon. Your finger will be at a 90-degree angle for the rest of your life. And I said, Doc, I don't need to hold change, I just want to be able to hold a drumstick. So I sustained a permanent handicap from the incident. Now, at the time I was a really struggling musician, you know, I was just kind of playing in wedding bands. It didn't take long for me to lose everything, so I moved back home with my parents, and I like to call this part of my life, it was like my bullpen experience. For those of us that don't know, like a bullpen is where pitchers, they warm up. A relief pitcher, he's warming up. He knows he's probably going to go in the game like the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, but he has the ability to assess the situation, whether the team is losing or winning. He gets to warm up his skill set and then go in and execute and be whatever's needed. So I literally had to sit on the couch for 8 months. Now, to be honest with you guys, it was a very dark time in my life. The first couple months, I was asking questions like, why me? You know, why would God allow this to happen to me? I was scared because it was a total random act of violence. You know, I was just a lot of different emotions. And I began to reflect a lot on my life and what do I want out of life? What kind of guy do I want to be? What do I want to do with the music? You know, so I spent a lot of time actually analyzing my childhood and just trying to become more self-aware of why I am where I am. And I thought about 2nd grade. Now you guys are looking at a social experiment. I'm an example of a social experiment. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, like I said, and in that community at the time, and still now, there was a problem with African-American males. The rates were high for going to prison. The rates were high for fatherless households. The rates were high for lack of college education. So a group of leaders got together. They created a school of choice where they can control the environment, and they picked at-risk kids to be a part of this organization. Kind of like the Boy Scouts, what the Boy Scouts were doing. So I was picked to go to this school. I go to school, And the environment, I started analyzing the environment in my head. The environment was we wore a shirt and tie to school every day. We were given tons of opportunities to become more self-aware, tons of after-school programs. They used sports to teach us a lot of things. They made us really conscious of generational cycles and how we can break them. But the most important thing that I got from that school was every day at 8 o'clock, every day before we would start school, the teacher would say, all right, class, stand up. And he'd say, what are those 10 two-letter words? And we would say, if it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. Now, I attended that school from 2nd to 8th grade. I wound up graduating, and I was accepted into one of the most prestigious boarding schools in the world, Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep. I attended there, graduated, was able to go to college on football scholarship, and I transferred to Nashville only to play football at Middle Tennessee State. And I'm a graduate of Middle Tennessee State. So this school was a huge blessing. But back to my bullpen experience, when I sat on that couch and I thought about all of the people who loved on me and all of the people who sold into me money and time, I just thought, you know what, it's done. I'm done being a victim. It's time to be a victor. Nobody owes me anything. So if I wanted to do this music thing, I need to do it on the highest level. And if I want to have a family, I have the keys to make a living and do what I love and make it my marketable skill, because if it is to be, it is up to me. So after realizing that, I had a difficult time forgiving the guy who hurt me, but I did that, and that freed me up. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna attack the rest of my life, make it the best of my life, and it's gonna be no fear. I'm not gonna have any racial or lack of diversity issues with anything. So I worked up from playing with sand to clay, marbles, and as soon as I could hold a drumstick, I was on the first thing smoking in downtown Nashville, because that's where I remember seeing the most drum sets. So the way that downtown Nashville works, it's a street called Broadway, and it's like 14 bars where bands play country music, and they play in shifts. So it goes from like 10 to 2 p.m., 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 2 a.m. And the game is you want to build relationships with those guys so you can play in those bands. The more you play, the more chances there are for Carrie Underwood's bass player to maybe play with you in that bar. And then when Carrie Underwood has auditions for her drummer, you might get a call because of that relationship you built. And people are attracted to certain skills. And I just did that. I hung out as much as possible. I didn't care. I was the only black dude. I didn't know how to play country music before I came down there. But I'm like, you know what? That's what it looks like when somebody's getting killed. What happened to me? So this is a second chance at life. And I'm not going to let diversity hold me back or anything hold me back. Because this is what God has destined me to do. I got a second chance. I'm going to do it. So I've been amazingly blessed I worked my way up, and the touring community became my community of friends, and I've been able to kind of work my way up and audition and meet new people, and I landed a gig with one of the most amazing bands in the world, and it's been a completely life-changing experience. I'm a father of 4, and I married the most amazing woman in the world, and all of this happened in the last 6 years. So, I say all that to say, I'm really excited to share my story because I encourage you guys to think about what was your bullpen experience, Like, who helped you navigate through life's landmines? Because somebody did. Somebody had to. And when I started thinking about life, like, it's not about what I have to do, it's about what I get to do. And right now, we're in a position of the opportunity to be responsible. And I'm just asking you guys to, just think about that and think, do what you can for the Scouts because we need you. I have the opportunity to take care of 4 amazing kids and be a husband, and that's what really drives me. And God just continues to bless me. Like, I'll be on a flight to the UK for a week in the morning, and I still can't believe it. You know what I mean? So I'm an example of when people love on people and sow seeds and do whatever they can and reach out and teach the next generation. And I just encourage you guys to be a hero. Because there's a lot of money in the room, which means there's a lot of success in the room. And to be successful, you have to be at a point to where you humanize who you look up to. And you say, why not me? Why can't I be who I look up to? Why can't I be the person in my mind or in my heart that I want to become? And some of us are on the other side of that now. So I'm just saying, take the opportunity to be a hero. Thank you for your time.
Wow, Hubert. How about that? What I heard, a group of people, a group of leaders out of love, got together and put together a youth program. It changed a life. It made a responsible citizen. We've got a lot of things going on in our country and around the world. We talk about our troubles and our concerns. And Hubert has given us the challenge. There's an action we can take to build the best and the brightest leadership for the future. We don't even have to work very hard at it, because the scouting organization is over 100 years old. And it's got a proven track record of setting young people on a path. And many of us in this community of scouting that's here tonight, we know that a lot of people that have been successful contributing members to our society, they got that track started by being a scout. A scout is someone that does the right thing when nobody else is looking. I would like to be able to vote for a presidential candidate that knew the scout oath and lived by the scout law. I think we'd be all right. I think we'd have a good future. We all know what we're here for. We could have chose not to be here tonight, but we chose to come. We knew we were going to be asked to make a pledge, to give something. The other words I heard come from Hubert was, let's do it out of love. Let's do it not because somebody harassed us. Let's do it because we really do care about creating the best future we can by investing in our young people and developing leaders that have a sense of self-responsibility. They want to do the right thing and have a reverence and respect for God. That's the future that we can build by investing tonight in our scouting program in Wisconsin. I'd like at this time to ask our table host to distribute the pledge cards. The budget for the Central Will County Council for 2016 is $1,942,292. And our goal with this spring scouting kickoff is to get a good jump start on 904,000 of that through this campaign. And you're right, Hubert. There is a lot of success in this room tonight. This is a room full of leaders. And as we already mentioned, that's why they're here, because they're willing to take their time to invest in the future of our country and our community. So as you fill out those cards, you'll see there's probably a number on there that is a suggested gift. I will share with you that as you ponder your gift, that to sponsor a scout for a year in the program is a cost of about $250. So consider sponsoring a scout. You know, we have different abilities in the room, and we all know the story of the Wither and Mike. But the main thing is that when you've got your gift right, here's something that I think that you will feel uncomfortable. That's what it's about right. I thought that I'd already filled out my pledge card, and that for our company, and that I had made my pledge as I'm asking you to make. But after hearing Hubert's message tonight, I don't think I'm done. I think I can do a little bit more. So I'd like to ask you, if you've come here tonight and you sort of made your mind up that you got the number in your head that you were okay with, I'd like to challenge you to not be done. Let's really step out there and be a little uncomfortable and maybe do 30% more. Let's make a step toward making a difference tonight. Now, as you do this, it's important that you put your address and your phone number. Indicate in your pledge card whether you want that bill to you want to pay it monthly, or quarterly, or how you want to pay it. So indicate there on the card how you'd like to be billed. We will accept a check, and if you want to write the check to the Central Boy Scout Council, a little later in the evening, if you've got through with that, we'll have some of our scouts come around and staff to collect your pledge card. Also, I have one of our bank associates, Jason Andrew, in the room tonight. And Jason has a credit card machine. And if you want to make that pledge and use your credit card, Jason, where are you? Stand up. That ugly guy right there with the beard. Jason will be able to make it convenient for you to take that payment with your credit card. But I'm going to give you time to ponder your pledge while our scouts wander around with you. I guess when you finish, I'll table hoe if you would. You got all your cards collected from your table. If you would, just raise your hand. Okay, so we're going to collect these cards. Give you a couple more minutes. Okay, let's hold your cards up. You got them? Let's get them collected. Okay, come. Hold them up. Let's say one back here, correct? Lady back here in the middle. Trip. Can you bring it back? Okay. Trip, you got it. Put another card back here in the back. One, two in the back, gentlemen. Steps. Throw it back. Okay. Any more cards? Hold them high. You got them? You got one? Where's Jason? Did you disappear? Where's Jason Andrew? We lost Jason? Over the table. Credit card guys at the table. And if you listen before we turn this program on again, you can get up with it. Okay? All right. We want to stay on schedule with this, so I'm going to go ahead at this time. And let me just say thank you all for making a pledge to Central Council and to investing in our youth and our future. And, I know you've been blessed for it, so thank you for your contribution to the scouting program in our council. It is now my pleasure to turn the program back over to Hubert to introduce one of our favorite Carolina Panthers, the man that I always went to, and maybe we had to get a first down, is Mr. Greg Olson. So Hubert, bring up this introduce.
I didn't know I was doing this, but this is exciting for me because I'm a huge Greg Olson fan. I got a funny story I tell about Greg real quick. So I met him like last year sometime. I don't even know if he remembers this, but it was 2 years ago. I was playing with David Neal, and David woke me up and he's like, hey man, we're gonna go hang out with Greg Olson today. I was like, what? So I went on this long technical football thing. I was like, man, Greg is great. But I feel like because he plays with Cam can he's a movable quarterback and he can find Greg in his own. So basically, I don't know if Greg would be all that great if he didn't play with Cam. So we meet Greg and I'm like, hey Greg, what's up, man? And Dave was like, this is Hubert, my drummer. He said you're not good, you just get to play with Cam. So, Mr. Greg Olson.
About to come up here and tell you how much I liked your last album, but looks like we're gonna have to buy somebody else's. I'm sorry, I'm too tall to keep it there, so I'm gonna hold this so everyone doesn't mind. So it's funny, Hubert talked about last year that they got to play the NFC Championship game. That week we're sitting there at breakfast and guys are talking about everything but the game, right? The whole city talks about only the game. We very rarely talk about the game during the weekend. We're sitting there, and one of the guys is like, hey, did you hear Little Big Town's doing the halftime show? And I was a huge, huge Little Big Town fan. And I was like, hey, listen, if they told me that I would have to take a fine to stay out at halftime, but they let me sing Girl Crush, I would gladly take that fine. It'd probably be about a $50,000 fine. We can give it to you Boy Scouts. I'm in. I'll do it all day. That would be like, everybody wants to be what they're not. My wife would tell you, my dream would be to get up on stage there and be able to do what you guys do. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for it. I can't do it, so I stick to playing ball. It's funny, as I've listened to the stories tonight and kind of listened to the message, so many key words and key lessons that bring me back to my youth and bring me back to really what I came here to talk with you guys about. I think it's kind of funny how everything kind of lined up. So last week I was up in Indianapolis. The NFL Combine was up there. I'm sure a lot of you guys watched bits of it on TV or whatnot. I was up there doing some coverage stuff for it, and the tight ends were working out, and they asked me to come up and do whatever. And while I was on stage, I got kind of like a random question, and they said, "Hey, just give us your opinion on youth sports specialization." It was kind of an odd question because we were there watching college players who were about to be in the NFL, and they were asking me what I thought about young kids. But of course, you're on live television, so you have no choice but to answer the question. And I told them my thoughts on it, and generally speaking, the more you do, the better. And at that point in time, I was talking about sports. It was NFL Network and it was the Combine, and that was the context of the conversation. But over the last week or so, and in preparation for tonight, I've put a lot of thought into that. Put a lot of thought into my childhood, my experiences growing up. And in my case, a lot of that was as an athlete. And I was born to a 40-year coach, 40-plus year high school football coach. And I'm sure a lot of you out there, the high school football coach that you're picturing in your mind, that was my dad. He was hard on us. He loved us, but he was hard on us. I had two other brothers that were fortunate enough. We all played for my dad. He coached, like I said, 40-plus years back up in New Jersey. Very successful program. And I think back to those times and how it aligns to today, and it's almost crazy how fate works. The biggest things, when I think back to my childhood and what I wanted to be, I didn't have dreams of being an NFL football player. I didn't have dreams of being a college football player. My dream as a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid is I was the water boy, and then when I was big enough and I could hold the footballs, I was the I was the ball boy. And my biggest dream was riding on the bus with the high school team to that game on Friday night or Saturday in the afternoon. To me, that was my world. That's all I knew. My life was, as a young kid, being around. That was my support system. That was my dream, was to be a high school football player for my dad at Wayne Hills High School. No one in this place even knows what that is. But that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. Not play for the Carolina Panthers. I wanted to play for Wayne Hills High School because I wanted to play for my dad. I wanted to be those kids I saw on Friday night come out when we thought it was a packed house and there was 3,000 people at the game. We were psyched. That was a big deal to me. So I think back to those times and I say, it's funny. What were the, as I thought about youth specialization and my memories, right? Everything starts flooding back to me. There was 3 core things values that I look back on, and then I come and sit down at my table today, and I'm, browsing through during the dinner and reading, and it's the same words over and over and over. Personal health, not physical, not saying how fast you run, how high you jump. At the time when you're 5, 6, 7, high school, it was touchdowns and how many points did you score. But now as I look as a 31-year-old, just hard in the NFL to say, 31-year-old, father of 3, married, I look back on those years with such a different perspective. Those were the times in my life as that ball boy, water boy, high school sophomore, just trying to find his way to play his dream. Personal health. And there, it's right on that, I didn't see these sheets until I showed up here tonight. Never saw it before in my life. Personal health. Developing, forget the physical stuff, mentally, confidence, self-worth, the ability when things get hard to persevere. Those things need to be learned, and they can't be learned when you're 31. Now, along the way, a lot of you have come across, along the way you're going to need to pull on some of these old core values that you learned when you were a kid. For me, I learned them at a very early age. It's funny, I always tell this story. When we played as kids, right, everyone wants to know how many points you scored, how many things. Our entire basis for how my dad responded to us after the game, win, lose, 30 points, 0 points. Did you listen to your coach, and did you try your best? Those are the same lessons that I teach my kids that are 4 before they go to T-ball. Hey, Tate, what's our first thing we're going to do tonight? What are our 2 only rules if we're going to play? I listen to my coach, I'm going to try my best. These things started when I was 5, 6, 7, carried them up to my high school days. Personal development, personal confidence, self-esteem. After that, character, right? So once you find out, how to act mentally, all that, who are you as a person? Those things don't just happen, right? Like Those things you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm a good person, I'm not a good person. Right from wrong, determination, responsibility. So again, I think back to my youth and growing up playing sports. This is exactly the same thing that I've heard the entire night. This is the exact same thing that I've heard from the Scouts Honor to their code. These were the same lessons. And again, specialization. Doesn't matter if it's sports, school, honor society at your high school, Scouts. There are certain special groups of people in this country that understand the future of our nation, of our society, is in these kids. The kids that just served us dinner and were polite. Yes, sir. Can I get you anything else? A lot of you know that's not the norm out there. That is not the youth that we're building in this country. This is the exception, and that's scary. And then the third component that I think back to my early days and my life when I was conscious enough to start making decisions. Where does an individual, especially a young kid, how do you start to learn where you fit in the big picture, right? From the time you're a little kid, it's about yourself, what I need, what my wants, what are my wishes, desires. And as you start getting older, the kids that succeed, and the kids that grasp it, a lot of the kids that looked me dead in the eye and shook my hand and said, pleasure to meet you, my name's John. Confident kids, respectful kids. Those are the kids that I met today. Where do they fit in the big picture? Being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Those were my memories now as I look back to my days. Right, so I talk about my dream of my life as a middle school, high school kid was to play for my dad, right? So freshman year, play freshman ball, do all that, fine. Sophomore year, good enough, play a little bit on varsity. My brother was a year older than me, he was a junior, so he was the junior quarterback. I was a sophomore, played a little bit. We were really good, so it was hard to play as a young kid. All right, so here it is. This is my junior year. My brother's senior year. He's the captain. He had signed a full scholarship to the University of Notre Dame. He was going to play quarterback at Notre Dame. My dad was the coach. Probably the best team my dad ever had. They had lost up to that point 6 consecutive state championships. They had lost. They never had won one at his school in the 15 years at that point that he was the coach there. So here we are. It's the summer. We're just getting ready to start the season. And my mom gets diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm 15. You don't even understand what hardship is, right? Like, you don't even understand. The biggest thing in my life was, did my teacher give me too much homework? Was I going to get it done when I came home from basketball practice? Like, in our world, like, we didn't have those struggles. Now, all of a sudden, at a young kid, bam, my dad puts in his letter of resignation. He says, I'm not going to coach. This was September. We were just, our 2 weeks later was going to be our game. September of 2001. So, obviously, we all know what the significance of that is. So here we are, about to fulfill our earliest life's dream. And it all, well, at the time, we thought it was coming crashing down. My mom was going to be too sick to care for all of us, and she was going to have chemo and radiation. My dad was going to retire, quit football, be at home to help take care of her. As my brother's going into his senior year, I'm going into my junior year. What we thought the world's in front of us, and here we are as a crossroads. So I'm a 16-year-old kid, and you talk about, again, further emphasizing those same values I just talked about, right? Selflessness. My mom calls us in, sick, going the whole thing. She said, Chris, you are not quitting on these boys before the biggest year of their life. And, he put up a fight, well, who's going to take it? She says, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I got great doctors, I got great support systems, I got a great family. We'll be fine. These boys need you. Those other boys need you. They've waited 4 years to be a senior and play for you. You can't quit on them. Not because of me. You talk about from an early age, a true lesson in selflessness, family, being a part of something bigger than yourself, right? So the same kind of core values, they follow you as you keep getting older. Long story short, my dad does not quit. He coaches my brother's final season. My junior season, we make it to the state championship. She misses 1 game the entire year. The opening game of the season, she was too sick, she couldn't come. She sat in the stands of every single game for an entire season. Some days, 48 hours after chemotherapy where she couldn't get out of bed. Again, it was more than about her. It was more than about us. It was more than about my dad. There was more at play there. And as I look back to those times, and again, when you're in it and you're young, I don't know how much you really appreciate it. But now looking back on it, I see the same examples. I see the same life lessons that have carried me forward. So my brother goes on, we lose in the state championship again. 7th time in a row. My dad has yet to win a state championship. So again, just one thing after another, right? But I fulfilled my first dream. Didn't look like I was gonna, but I filled my first lifelong dream, right? I set a goal that was a relatively attainable goal, and I hit it. So now as college starts ending, I go down to the University of Miami for a summer camp, and they offer me a full football scholarship. First time that I ever even thought about college being a possibility to go on and play and pursue something greater than just playing high school football for my dad. So I was fortunate enough, following my senior year, which by the way, we won the state championship my senior year, thank God. I don't know if my dad could have taken it anymore. So I check off every box that I can in high school. We had ups, we had downs, we had a lot of bad times personally, a lot of bad times on the field, but it all culminates with a state championship my senior year, and I go on to take a full scholarship to the University of Miami to play football, which is not technically true, so I'll be honest with you. I took a full scholarship to go to the University of Notre Dame. I was there for about a month. Did not like it. I don't know if there's anybody here that went to Notre Dame. I apologize. It was not for me. I left after a month, transferred to the University of Miami. Now, when I went to the University of Miami, we were Alabama of now. Not like, don't think of Miami as like what you guys have seen the last couple of years. When you think of Alabama, we were Alabama, but it was 2003. Back-to-back national championship games. My freshman year, they had 6 guys drafted in the first round. Still a record that holds. So here I am, the kid that was used to being the best kid in high school. Here I am, feeling good about myself. Oh, this is going to be a breeze. Every school wanted me, whatever. I show up first day. I'm on the scout team. I break the huddle. There was 7, what went on to be 7 future first-round NFL draft picks on defense. I was the true freshman tight end looking at a card. And for any of you who don't know what scout team means, we're like the tackling dummies, right? So like, I'm not even kidding. There's a coach that like holds up a card and it has like X's and O's and like arrows, and we pretend we're the team that they're about to play, so that the defense practices against us. So like I had to be the tight end of like Louisville and Florida State and whoever, and like these 7 future first-round picks would just like tee off on us. So I remember, I'll never forget it. Like, first couple days when you take your lumps, I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I don't think I'm ever gonna play here. Like this might be great. I'll see it through. I'll get a free education, whatever. But these guys are good. You know, these guys are like really good. And he's like, listen, that's not who we are. He's like, that is not what we do. Get back to who you are. Get back to what put you in this situation in the first place. It was not because you were born the best kid on the block. Not because you were born the best athlete. Be who you were. Remember what you were told. Remember what you have learned. Remember what we've taught you that has put you in this position. And whatever is to be, is to be. It was the same values, again, that I find myself in. Self-confidence. Being a part of something that was bigger than yourself. All these life lessons, I can't help but just drag them through every moment of my life. My sophomore year, fortunate enough, I play a little bit. Then my 3rd year, I really play. My 1st year as like a full-time player, kind of get over the hump, feeling back good about myself. Then just like in high school, all of a sudden the word about the NFL starts kicking in. And again, never in my wildest dreams did I ever inspire to be, want to be, plan to be an NFL football player. I just did it. I took it as it came. So here I find myself going into what would be my 4th year. You have 5 to play because I redshirted. So I'm going into my 4th year. We have an okay season personally. We have an absolute nightmare season as a team. My college roommate, my freshman year in the dorms, I'll never forget, I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We're at Best Buy after practice one day. And my coach calls me. He's like, Greg, you gotta come to the practice facility. Coach Coker just called a meeting. So immediately we thought he was getting fired because we had a tough season. We lost some games we shouldn't have. there was a lot of word that he was going to get fired. So I'm like, man, they're going to fire Coker? He goes, no. So what's up? Why are we getting called back at 9 o'clock at night? He goes, Brian Patton was just shot and killed. I said, what? I said, I just saw him after practice. He goes, yeah, coach is calling me. This kid was my college roommate as freshmen. For all of you who know dorms, you get, there's 2 beds in one room, like a common bathroom, and then 2 beds in another room. He was my college roommate. Drove me to every single workout my freshman year on campus since I didn't have a car. Kid gets shot and killed. We go up and play FIU. We have a bench clearing brawl with FIU 6 miles down the road. I'm sure a lot of you saw it on TV. Super embarrassing situation. 25 kids were suspended. End of the season, we have a bad loss in the bowl game. Our coach gets fired. The final couple years of my college experience were a disaster. But I look back on those times as they also taught me valuable lessons that I continue to carry with me. Right now, the NFL is coming. Again, unknowns. Am I going to be able to make it? Should I declare early? Should I come back another year? We just fired our coach. We just had all this turmoil. Do I want to be a part of this? Again, a crossroads. A situation where you're not sure what the best way is to go. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to declare early. I forfeited my last year. I was able to graduate from the University of Miami early. And I get drafted by the Chicago Bears, 31st overall pick. Another dream came true that I never really set out for. But what I did do is I took all the appropriate steps along the way to get there, right? So you don't just make these dreams and then all of a sudden, like one day you go, oh, my dream came true, right? That's not the real world. And I think a lot of these kids, your head start and your foundation here, I don't think you guys even understand. When you're 31 and you're speaking to a group of kids, you'll look back and say, man, those lessons that they taught me back in the day is the only reason that I'm standing in this stage right now talking to you guys. So again, I go into my early career, things are good. I don't have really any responsibilities. I get married to my wife, things are easy. We had our first son, living in Chicago, on top of the world. We have our first son. 6 weeks later, I'm at training camp, and I get a call that said, we don't see you in our future here. We're going to try to trade you. Okay. Not ideal. Not the end of the world looking back, but not ideal. Just had a 6-week-old, 6-week son at home. 24 hours later, I'm on a plane. I go back to my house, pack my house up by myself. My wife's out of town visiting our niece who was just born. I call her, I say, hey, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to Charlotte. I just got traded to the Panthers. Never been there. Never been to North Carolina. They went 2-10. They fired their coach. You see the themes? You guys understand these themes? Good. It's a smart group. They fired their coach, 2-14, first overall draft pick. It's going to be a quarterback. Don't know what he's going to be, but we're going to trade for you. You're going to come in here, and we're going to hope that you can help us put this thing back together. Like, awesome. This is going to be great. My last game I ever played in Chicago was the NFC Championship. We were 5 points away from the Super Bowl. We lost to Green Bay, who eventually went on to be the Super Bowl champs. I packed my dorm room up. I drive an hour and a half from training camp. I'm in training camp when they traded me. Drive up to my house that I brought my first son home in, first house I ever bought, lived there for 5 years. Pack up a little suitcase. Sleep in my bed one last time. Next morning, 7 a.m., I'm the O'Hare Airport, flying into Charlotte. Never once stepped foot back in my house. Never saw it again. Never stepped foot back in the door. My wife flew up with our 6-week-old baby. My mom flew in. They packed the house up, put it on the market with a realtor, packed our car with our 2 dogs, and drove from Chicago to Charlotte. I found a rental, and we moved on with our life. Again, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't the circumstances that we all drew, but life is not. Life does not go along the paths that you do. You have to take the situation as it comes, apply the lessons you've learned, apply your reasoning, apply who you are as a person, your character, your personal health, your teamwork, your citizenship, your awareness of where you fit in the bigger picture, apply it to the situation, and move forward the best you can. And that's what we do. The last couple minutes I've given you guys what at the time were the biggest challenges of our lives. And outside of my mother being sick, the other ones now looking back were relatively trivial. Declaring for the draft or not. Come on. Getting traded. You still get to play. They still pay you. Whatever. life flipped upside down for us about a year later. We had gotten traded here in July of 2011, played the first season, went okay, got a little bit better. We find out we're pregnant with twins. We have a less than 1-year-old that day. Yeah. So we're like, okay, whatever, we're gonna have twins. Come home, my wife goes in for an 18-week sonogram, and our life has changed forever. She looks at the monitor, the tech, and she goes, something doesn't look right. This is not, I'm not sure, I'm not really positive, but I suggest you guys go get further testing. All right. She's like, the left side of his heart looks significantly smaller than the right side of his heart, and it could be shadow. And for anybody who's ever seen one of those things, it looks like nothing. So like the fact that she even noticed anything was a miracle. And so that afternoon, so obviously the whole day I'm Googling stuff, and the left ventricle small, and the first Google search, which is horrible, don't ever Google search it. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome, severe life-threatening, I'm like, okay, he doesn't have that. So I'm going down. 3 hours later, we're standing not far from here in Sanger Heart and Vascular Institute here in Charlotte, a city that we never knew, a city that only 7 months prior we got traded to on a whim. Never been here before, knew nothing about it. All of a sudden, we're standing in front of a doctor who's telling us that our twin boy, if he doesn't undergo immediate open heart surgery following his birth, he's 100% going to die. There is nothing they can do outside of open heart surgery on a 2-day-old baby, or he will die. And all of a sudden, everything that you had been through, from a child to what you wanted to be, to who you thought you were, go out the window. Could have cared less about anything. You told me I was cut, fine. You told me that I wasn't going to play football, fine. Everything that at that moment that I had built up for, I had just totally lost my perspective. I had totally lost what was important, what was truly valuable, my true core values that were instilled in me when I was the ball boy. And I'd carried with me all this time. For about a month, we're gone. We were bitter. Why me? Why did this happen to me? You're sitting at home. You have a newborn you're trying to raise. But you're super distracted because of what's about to happen. The unknown. The what ifs. Am I prepared to handle this? Right, so these are all the questions that start flooding your brain. We travel the country. Speak to every specialist in the world. Never forget, we're up at Boston Children's Hospital, the foremost experts. I'll never forget it for as long as I live. The head of the pediatric cardiac center comes in, and the first question out of his mouth was, "Are you guys going to move forward with the baby?" Now, do you understand that this child is going to have a really difficult road, and no one would blame you if you decided to just end it? What? And again, I don't say that as at all political statement by any means, but we were so dumbfounded that we were in a position, and our child was in a position where maybe the best course of action was to not give him his life. That was like a real medical approach. We went home from that trip, we flew home, got on the plane, flew home, decided to have the baby here in Charlotte at Levine Children's Hospital, and we never looked back. We said this was given to us for a reason. This was given to us because as people, my wife and I, we can handle this. This cannot just be given to anybody. This is difficult. This is challenging. This is going to test every moral fiber of your body, of your relationship, your marriage, your self-worth, your confidence, who you are as a person, your idea of citizenship, your idea of teamwork. Every core value of my life came all together at the same time, in the biggest time of my life. And after we got through that initial cloud, my wife and I looked at each other and we said, listen, we have no control over the future of our child. We have no control over his future, what he'll be. But you know what we can control? We can control our approach. We can control who his parents are. We can control the household he's brought home to. We can control the environment that he experiences for as many days as we have. Fast forward to October of 2012, happened to be a bye week. Funny how that works. God's really incredible. We give birth to our twins during the bye week in October. bring our daughter home for a couple days. Day 2 of life, TJ undergoes what will be 3 open heart surgeries. Full bypass, completely opened up. About 12 hours later, on that Friday, I'll never forget, after sitting in the waiting room for about 12 hours, we come up to his room, and they don't close your chest up yet. They leave his chest open so that there's not too much pressure inside with the swelling and fluid. So they warn us, but you're not really, ever really prepared for that. So we walk up, and he's got a green latex lining sewed between his sternum. And you see his heart beating through it, because his chest is open. And you just look down, and at that very moment, you're willing to sacrifice everything you've ever done in your entire life, and all you ask for is just give my guy a chance here. Just give him any bit of hope. We will do, but there was a lot more at play than just what we could do. We couldn't touch him, couldn't hold him, didn't eat for weeks. So again, and I don't tell you that for sympathy, I don't tell you that to pat ourselves on the back. I tell you that because no different than the trivial story where we thought it applied in high school, the same values we learned as 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds high school kids, the same values, the same lessons, the same character, who we were, our moral fibers, were the only reason we were able to handle these situations. We didn't just all of a sudden say, oh yeah, we were going to handle this. No. That was because of the guidance we had as kids, the direction we had as kids, the life lessons we had as kids. Is the only reason that I can stand up here in front of you today and say that not only is our son doing incredible, and he's 3, and he goes to school, he has a permanent pacemaker, he's had 3 open heart surgeries, but he would run across this stage and you'd have no idea. It's not because we're better than parents than anybody else. We try to apply the same approach to him that was applied to us when we were 5, 6, child growing up. But without that leadership, without that guidance, without that mentorship, I don't think we would have been able to handle it. We got ours from our families, no different than these scouts, because none of you guys would be here if they weren't. We got these from our community, our schools, our teams. Look what these guys do for these scouts. Look at the impact that they're making. There's 800 people here because we need to give these kids, the thousands of kids across the country, but specifically the kids here in our region, we need to give them those lessons because you don't just find them. They need to be given to you. They need to be taught to you. You need to experience them from an adult figure, an authority figure that loves you, but he's not afraid to correct you. He's not afraid to tell you you're wrong. That's our problem these days. No one wants to tell anybody that they're wrong. I promise you, I've only been around a lot of these people for an hour now. I can just see the way these leaders, these scout leaders interact with these kids. I can see it. I've lived it my whole life. They're getting the direction, the leadership, the mentorship that is going to change their lives forever. Regardless of the trials and tribulations that they come across, they will approach those issues with the lessons they learned today, tomorrow, this summer camp. Trust me, I was that kid. It might not have been scout, it might be sports, it might be whatever. It's irrelevant. The fact is, are the lessons being taught by people who love them and people who demand their respect and are going to teach them to act and live the right way from the time they're able to comprehend it? If the answer is yes, then Scout's your answer, sports are your answer. Any environment that puts our youth into those circumstances, that's the answer. And no greater example of that than all these kids in this room. And these men and women who sacrificed so much time, I can only imagine, to take these kids on these backpacking trips, to take these kids to summer camp. They're not doing that on their own. They're not going to these summer camps in 6th grade by themselves. So think about the leadership they're around. Think about the people that are molding their lives. These are the kids that are going to now affect the future of our society. So why not give them every advantage? Give them the advantage I was fortunate enough to have. Give them the advantage he was fortunate enough to have. And I'm sure a bunch of you were happy. Give them that. Give them that leg up on everybody else, and let's see what they're capable of. Because I promise you, there's no lesson too small. There's no child too young to learn it. We're going to do our best. We're going to listen to our coach. We're going to do our best. We're going to listen to our scout leader. We're going to do our best, we're going to listen to our mom. We're going to do our best, we're going to listen to our teacher. It's the same storyline, just change out the authority figure. Those are the kids we want moving forward in this country. Those are the kids that are going to make a difference. So I encourage you guys. I respect what you guys do. I have a tremendous amount of respect for your leaders, for these kids, your professionalism, the way you conduct yourselves, just the way you shake a hand. That's impressive. That means something. Because it seems small now, but when you're a 31-year-old dad of 3, married, balancing a career and a job, you're gonna pull back on those life lessons and experiences because you're gonna need them. Because it ain't easy. Life's not easy. Things are gonna be hard. You're gonna have ups, you're gonna have downs, but everybody's got their story. My story is no more unique than any of you out there. I hope the message that you understood is, regardless of your path, whether you're going to be a drummer for a Grammy Award-winning band, or Davis, who's about to be 18, is an Eagle Scout building Habitat for Humanity, or me, who plays a trivial game in the big picture. I'm just fortunate that a lot of people care to watch it. Regardless of your path, what you do as a kid is going to shape that path and your ability to handle all the curves that come with it. So again, I thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my story, to speak in front of you, and I would just encourage you guys to support these kids. It works. Trust me. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've done it. And I don't think you guys wouldn't. I don't think you'd be here if you didn't feel the same way. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
We'll come back up. Greg and Hubert and Tripp. This way. It's good, man. It's been a long evening. And this is helping these two guys to give the message they give us tonight. Thank you both, gentlemen, for the special message you've given. Thank you. Our Scout Executive, Brett Taylor.
So fortunately, I don't have to take the mic off. Just got to push it down a little bit. So I've been with Central North Carolina Council now just under a year, about 11 months, and if you asked me 11 months ago, would we have an event that has over 700 folks in a room to support scouting, I would have said, yeah, we're going to do it. I'm very proud of the Central North Carolina team, and I'm very proud of all the table hosts and the steering committee members and all of y'all for taking an evening off to support a worthy cause. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the displays as you came in and what the youth were doing. It amazes me when we think about when we met with the Cabarrus Arena. I told them we're going to have over 500 people show up to an event that we've never had before. And they started sweating a little bit because they've never put on an event this large for a sit-down audience with meals, and one of the biggest concerns was, where are we going to get service? And then the idea popped up, well, could we use Boy Scouts and volunteers? And of course that makes you nervous when you have 700 plus folks in the room, that your experience is going to be based on volunteer service. But I believe it's fitting for what the Boy Scouts represents, that the evening that you had tonight, if the service was lacking a little bit, just remember it was volunteer service. The arena, just to sake of time, we asked them not to clean up, so if your plates were in your way a little bit, just understand that we try to get through the program. Hubert Payne, fantastic story. Greg Olson, great story. We just thank these gentlemen for taking time out of their evenings to support our cause. Roger Dick and Uwari Bank. This event without Roger's leadership wouldn't have happened, and Uwari Bank's commitment to scouting. Our United Way partners, they don't only support us through an allocation check or a designated gift, but we got several United Way directors and representatives in this room. They're supporting us with their checkbooks as well. So we want to thank our United Way partners. They are true partners of scouting. Lastly, I just want to say that being the largest event, the first event of its kind, we are relevant. This represents scouting is still strong. We're relevant, and what we do, this impact is just going to mean so much to our council, to our ability to serve the youth. Over 6,500 young people served through scouting programs locally. That's just an astronomical number when you think about it. 650, over 10% of our youth would not be able to participate in scouting if it wasn't for friends like y'all. So it just means so much to us that you're here and support us. So I do want to thank everybody that attended and for opening up your wallet, your checkbook, and just in support of our local council. So finally, I guess I'll turn the program back over to Roger. We'll wrap it up with announcing our dinner totals. We set a goal of being 75% of goal at our kickoff. That was when Roger and I met, the first day we met. He said, well, where do you want this event to end? And I said, I want it to end at 75%. So I will let Roger make the announcement. Do you have the numbers? Okay. So we ended, and we still have a few tables that we need to collect. So if you haven't turned in your packet, please do so. Very subtle request, I guess. We ended at 673,000. A little bit late of a drum roll. Hubert, how was that? Is that right? So $673,005. And out of a goal of 915,000, anybody want to guess where we're at? 75%. So setting goals makes a difference, I guess. So 75% of goal tonight. So thank you all for your support.
Can't say enough about our scout staff, Greg and his people. A very small group that have done a lot of work. And I want to thank Greg. Let's give Greg and his scouting staff a hand. It's been a long night. Thanks to all the love shown. Scouting and Central Council have a future. We remain grounded on the values that have allowed scouting to endure through a lot of changing times. And thanks to your support and your investing your time and your money and all of your energy scouting in our district and council and our youth, we've got a good future. Thank you for being here. Travel safe going home. God bless you. Once again, thank you for all that you've done in life for scouting. Travel safe.